Hello and welcome everyone to this interview with Dr. Evangeline Rand, psychologist, educator, and writer. In this interview, we'll be talking with Dr. Rand about the geometry and patterns of life, sometimes known as sacred geometry, which Dr. Rand practices, studies, and teaches. Welcome, Dr. Rand, and thank you for taking the time to be with us today and to share your knowledge and talk together.
Good morning, Danita. It's lovely to hear your voice, and this is going to be a wonderful opportunity to talk about fascinating things.
Yes. I thought a good place to start would be, could we begin by you just sharing with us your story about how you first got and were led to study and practice in this whole endeavor?
Well, it's quite a long story.
That's okay. We got time.
I'm a bit old now. Stories get old, and stories get long as you get older. That's okay. Now,
true.
Yes, it's true, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've always been interested in shapes, and I didn't realize quite how they were connected to number. Primary number. I'm not talking about mathematics as most of us think about number. We've had mathematics at school, and mostly we're not really introduced to the qualitative aspects of the primary numbers. And I did take notice of Carl Jung alerting us to the importance of looking at primary numbers and their shapes. And he never really developed them as fully as he could, and his colleague, Marie-Louise von France, developed some of the ideas, but didn't go further into the geometry involved here. Now, about 10 years ago, I was very, very seriously ill, and it was a dreadful experience. That many people know about these catastrophes that destroy whatever life you've thought you had. And I was particularly upset because I started to have some dreams about numbers and shapes, and I didn't understand them at all. And the first one was a very interesting little dream, and I'll tell you it. It's
okay.
4, 2, 3, 5. So FOR, not the number, but FOR 2, 3, 5. So you might want to write that down.
Okay, so now so in your dream you just saw FOUR.
No, FOR.
Oh, 4.
4.
FOR.
Yes.
Okay.
2, 3, 5.
TWO.
Just 2, the number 2, 3, 5. So there's one word, FOR.
Yes. Okay.
2, 3, 5.
And that was the dream?
That was the dream.
So was it auditory or visual dream? Like, did you see
it? It was visual. Visual dream. Now, where would you start with that, you might wonder? Well, I was just in a panic because I thought, good grief. I've studied and worked with dreams now for many, many years. This is totally new. Fortunately, my mentor, Dr. Russell Lockhart, said a simple thing to me. Well, it sounded so simple as to be nonsensical to me. He said, those numbers, 2, 3, 5, are the beginning of the Fibonacci sequence.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes. And, of course, that's all he said. So whatever, it seemed to me that the dream was saying that I am doing something for this particular mathematical insight. Well, of course, I knew nothing about number and geometry, but I do know enough to know that when you're faced with something like this, all you can do is hold it as a question and keep looking around and see where you are led with it. And by a long series of coincidences, in my terrible illness, my oncologist said to me one day, Evangeline, you are worn out with self-care. You need to take a holiday. I thought this was crazy because I was so ill I could barely move. But anyway, I ended up, my friends helped me go away, and I ended up, again, by a series of coincidences, I ended up being able to go and study with Dr. Keith Critchlow, who has just retired from active teaching as of this year. But I've been able to go quite a few times to England and also then to Spain to work with him, with small groups. And gradually I have started understanding some of the old wisdom traditions. Not by we learn these wisdom traditions by perceiving how nature unfolds, how life unfolds, what are the basic patterns of life, seeing them rather than just having words about them. And so the art of geometry is the art of systematically learning how these shapes can be created. And how they are created. And of course this takes us back to Pythagoras, and even before him. And Pythagoras was asked if he was a wise person, and he said, "No, but I am a lover of wisdom." That's what philosophy is, to be a lover of wisdom. And, of course, wisdom was understood to be a feminine attribute of divine intonations, if I can put it that way. And it's very interesting to think of this wisdom teaching, wisdom practice, with its feminine imaginations. We've lost that in so much of our culture, and so this is, to me, extremely interesting.
Yes,